What are your thoughts on the use of CGI in today's films? We believe its overuse has had a negative impact on the creativity of storytelling. Well, I completely agree with you in the sense that in the old days, we had a lot of terrible and a lot of cheap effects, but the stories were good, and simple but good. And CGI has made everything too easy, as far as I'm concerned, and AI is only going to make that worse. And so it's, back when I was young, a film that was spectacular was a big expensive movie. It was all, they had to do everything practical, crowds of thousands and thousands. They had to have crowds of thousands and thousands, and that was very real. And I think that as a director makes you think a lot more about how you're presenting your story if you're going to that extent of all this expense. Now, all that spectacle doesn't cost anything, really. It costs pennies on the dollar compared to what it used to be. So I do think that CGI, wonderful tool. I mean, it really is amazing, and when used properly, it's flawless. It's just a great storytelling tool. But when just used for the sake of overblowing everything, and everything has to be bigger and larger and faster, and the camera's got to fly through the air a lot more, I don't think that's letting the director have a vision, because basically, if you can do it in CGI, you can do anything you want. The producers have a lot more influence then, which is never a good thing creatively. So I agree that CGI is overused, it's overdone, it's unfortunate, but it's part of where we are today. But my take after decades and decades of doing this stuff is that new technology comes in and it tends to just be overdone completely. Everybody jumps on that bandwagon and does, bladder effects, uses silicone, whatever that is. Everybody does it all at once, and then that technique tends to find its place in the overall picture after a while, because I don't know how old you guys are, but if you remember the days after Dick Smith created the bladder effect makeup, it was just like, it was every other makeup film was doing bladders, and it was just like, okay, we've seen it, it's a great technique, enough's enough. And it died off. It's still used, but it's not used anywhere near it's not abused like it used to be. So I think, or at least I hope, that CGI will find its place a little bit more. And I think it probably already has started to do that, because these CGI spectaculars are just kind of like, they've peaked, I think. I don't think people are enjoying them as much as they used to be. They're looking for a little bit more content, I think. Which is why films like Robert Eggers' Nosferatu has a big following. It has a more unique vision. It's more content laden. It's not, it doesn't have all these gigantic battles and everything else. So I think it's starting to level out just a little bit. It's got a long way to go, and things are going to change soon again anyway. But I do think CGI has definitely gone through a stage where it's just been totally abused by all the wrong people. But at the same time, great filmmaker using it makes great films.